We are now recording the February, oh my gosh, what day is it? The 23rd?
Yes.
2018, Small
Yes.
Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Are we on speaker view or on
I am on gallery. Do you want speaker?
No, gallery.
You want gallery? I always do gallery.
I like gallery.
Well, we're going to start with you, Sarah, and you're going to share your screen and show us a little bit about your TVX. Your demo was wonderful on desktop time. Enjoyed it very much.
Let's see here. Yeah, it was. Well, like we were talking about earlier, it's such an easy program that to demo it takes like a minute.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, once the recording comes back to us from desktop time, maybe we'll get a little bit of a tease and play it here on our Hangout next week.
You see my desktop?
You see your desktop?
Very nice. With the flowers.
Yeah, I try to change it up. And I have this thing called fences. See? And so all of my icons, all my programs and files and all the junk that's on my desktop, these are called fences. They roll up.
Oh,
Ooh, I like those.
Isn't that cool? And then I have the one that I use the most,
I like it.
But what's nice is, especially when you're demoing and you don't want anything confidential to pop up, just keep it all hidden. And then the trick is go through your whole demo to see when you go to save a file, is it going to show everybody your data structure and your confidential stuff? So that's what I freak out about. We're going to be I'm going to be showing my desktop. But,
no, you don't want to.
So basically I just showed my program and I did the little accounting 101 class.
Yeah,
explained where the numbers come from and how you different ways you can use them. So I think I started calling the period change. But, and I can share the PDF with anybody who wants one. But I used to have all this in the manual, and my programmer's like, your manual's too long. But I'm always teaching. And then I also I like to know where the numbers came. How do I know that the program's correct if I don't know my goal?
Absolutely. And I love that you have a manual because nobody else does these days.
Yeah.
The days of manuals
I did take out all this, and it's a separate addendum now. But for instance, if I'm going to pull a trial balance as of, the first thing I do is check and see if cash is 46,969. And if it puts to zero, that just gives me comfort because I don't trust computers. I even wrote the program and I don't trust computers.
No.
I mean, that's just the way my mind thinks. I don't just take stuff at face value and run with it.
Yeah.
I got to know what it is I'm reading. And then the same thing with the period change. If I wanted to do 12 months of activity and checking, I'm going to look for that $10,000 figure. So, and then a lot of people don't understand how the balance sheet and the P&L go together, how that chart of accounts relates to financials.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I wanted to show that, what makes the balance sheet balance is the plug from the P&L.
Yeah.
And there's another number I want to zoom in on and make sure that I'm getting what I really want, especially if you're going to migrate history. You need to know what you're doing. So anyway, I showed that. And then I showed how in the P&L we could take a class name and replace it with something else.
Yeah.
Very cool
feature. Pretty straightforward too.
Yeah. So I showed that, and then I got down to the bottom of my P&L, and there's my 113.
Yeah.
And then I tried to make my screen as simple as possible, and I used to have a lot more help, but I've even cleaned that off. My goal was to be able to use it without a manual.
Yeah.
Logically go, oh, okay. And so it defaults to open. I like having QuickBooks open in the background because it's faster, for one thing. So you open it in the background, you pull up a P&L and a balance sheet, and you minimize it, and then you just click connection, and it'll tell you if it's happy. The two are talking to one another. And then 3 things, and this is my new one, the journal entry, but a trial balance as of or a period change, we're in 12-monthly columns. That's really simple.
I like that.
The include titles and totals was something my programmer wanted. He said a lot of people who are just dumping data, they don't need all that pretty stuff at the top.
Right.
So, but I have it defaulting to turn it on, because you can always, because see, my thought was give them everything, and once they get into Excel, they can delete what they don't want.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather over give it to them. But anyway, so we added that, and then I like to open as a little peek. When it's done, it pops up in a notepad, and I can look for that $10,000 figure, and I can go to the bottom and look for my 0. I'm sorry, that's just the way, So I made him keep that in there. And then, we added this on the face instead of it exporting and then asking where to put the file, we just put it on the.
Told it where to export right
But
there.
you know what? That's it. I mean,
You can always take it from the desktop and stick it wherever you want it.
That's right. So then the little class replacement.
Yep.
This is really ugly. You get a client. I had a client with 3,000 class names.
Oh my goodness.
How many years worth of data was that?
Oh my God. And the thing is,
all mutually exclusive either.
it was this massive, well, I'm trying to think what they were. I think real estate, and they had places all over the country, and then every sales rep had it would be like a division, and every rep, and I mean, it was crazy. And when you're working with data, you don't want it to go out there and read forever, so you'll give it like ranges. So the programmer never trained to go that big. And so it would crash out of balance because it didn't stay looking long enough to get to the 3,000.
Wow.
And I've worked through all kinds of things, like I'd had to make sure that every single symbol on the keyboard, because people will use anything in a name. And so I had to make sure that my program could handle every single symbol. But I learned one thing I can't do anything about. If you have an account name or number and you end it with an E, when you open the comma delimited file in Excel, it thinks it's a formula. There is nothing I can do about that.
If you end it with an E?
Exponential, I think, is what it does. It makes it scientific blah, 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 blah. So I do. So that's one of those support things that rarely comes up. But when you start getting all gobbledygook, I'll go, you don't have to have an account with an E on it, do you? That's what it was. It was an account number.
An account number with an
account
E.
number with an E.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to me with on a customer list. I wanted at the Holistic Chamber, all of the chapter presidents to go to the top of the list. So
did you number like 1 and then?
Well, they're always adding new ones. So what I did was I put like a minus sign, a dash. But then when you take it into Excel,
it's a formula. See?
So I think I could use an underline. I think I could also use a space, but I'm not sure. So I'm playing with that.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just using numbers, no minus sign.
Just in numbers. Yeah.
15,
but that's funny.
0, 15, and 20.
Well, that's like a 1 and a 10. It won't go.
I know.
You know, it because it counts the other way. So you have to go 0.01.
Yeah.
Not 0.1, because 0.1 is the same as a 0.10. Yeah, that's all database stuff that most people don't know, you know.
Well, you learn about it real quick when you...
Yeah, when something doesn't work. That's right.
So here's your CSV file.
Yeah, then I showed there's the raw dump of data.
Yeah.
And it's scary when it opens.
I love that. She says it's kind of scary, like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah, it's
and
just gobbledygook.
It actually.
I've actually had people call going, I don't know what it's doing. It's all wrong.
No, it's
So I dial into the machine and we drag, and I'm like, it's just scary. It's all right. There's my 10. See, there's my checkout account, and there's my 10. Go to the bottom. There's my 0. We're cool. And then I show them how to, because they're not familiar with Excel, really.
Right.
And widen the columns. Oh, okay.
Oh,
that
look
makes
at how
sense.
pretty that is.
Yeah, it's getting pretty. And I always just automatically click on the column for the numbers and then click on the little comma format. And now it makes, now it's easier to read,
Oh, yeah.
So, and I like pointing out those things.
Yes.
And then, so I showed how when you do it by class code. Because I was saying rent's rent. If you do a trial balance out of QuickBooks, rent's rent.
Right.
You're not going to get rent class 1, rent class 2. You just can't. You can't. So that's how I do it. And then, this alias was actually left over from Creative Solutions because of the way they mapped their account numbers.
Oh, okay.
The first 2 digits were department codes. The first 3 digits, I think, were department codes. And then the rest of it was the general ledger number.
Right.
Some programs have the department at the end. So I left that in there. The tax line's brand new. Of course, the sample data hardly had any tax things. I don't know why people would use that, but
people would not. Who would use it would be like Dennis
people.
And his program when he's doing the tax returns.
I don't know.
That's what Intuit uses when you're using Pro Series or Pro Tax to bring in the information and import.
What you could do would be maybe pivot tables to get totals, and it becomes your tax return. I need to find my notes. It was probably about 5 years ago. One guy was begging me for it. It's probably one guy in the country. Well, Hector asked for it too. And then,
Can we get a copy of this? I mean, can you put it in the,
I can drag it and
put the chat?
Yeah, sure. And then there it is with the 12 columns. Note to self: if you just click on all these columns and change them to numbers, you'll butcher your header.
Oh, right, exactly.
You only do that once.
Yes.
Undo. Okay. So, and then Kieran, we had figured out how to take each column into a separate sheet in the workbook and then making journal entries, and so that's the way we've been, our little workaround for importing data back into a QuickBooks file. And then my new fangled export is you don't need all this stuff anyway. That's all 12 months stacked. So all of January has one date. And so when you import data like that, if I were to total this, this better work. Auto sum. Be a zero. It's a 0. So it's the 12 trial balances, but stacked. And when you import data with Transaction Pro Importer or anything else, it's going to group all this into one journal entry. So it's going to make 12 journal entries instantly.
Nice.
I've been waiting. Intact, NetSuite, all of them. So anyway, this is what I've been waiting for. Who's this guy right here? Nice. So we have a little licensing thing we're trying to figure out how to, since I've already sold 6.1, that when you're in the program, it'll check for updates and say an update's available, and it'll just give you 6.2.
Good.
We're working on that.
Okay, so
I won't. And so if I do any little fixes, I can give those away for free. But if we do a major update, which I no plan on doing anytime in the next 20 years, this is it.
this is enough, huh?
Hector kept wanting a working trial balance. And the coding for that is not easy. And we worked and,
There's formulas involved.
I know, and the programmers are $100 an hour, and I'm like, we're fighting it. And finally, I'm asking Hector questions, and I said, because I had the impression that was like the number one request, because the accountant's version, you can do a working trial balance, but you can't export it to Excel.
Right.
Stupidest thing I've ever seen. Well, they want you to stay in their software, and I'm like, so I'm trying to reinvent the wheel and all that stuff, and turned out to be one client. Yes, I'm like, I think we're gonna
sorry.
There may be more, but let me make my money back first, and then I'll think about adding another one. But if I were just rolling in it, I could probably just at some point my husband's like, we need to sell some more before we play with this anymore. I'm like, okay. So
Nice.
Anyway, so, but yeah, I'll drop that in the. Well, yeah, the link is in that email.
What email?
If you registered for how do you stop sharing here? If you registered for desktop time, they sent an email out yesterday.
Oh, I was doing taxes. I was doing taxes.
With my wrong email, with my wrong website on it.
I'll forward a copy of that email to you, Dennis.
Okay.
Yeah, I can put it in the chat. But anyway, it was fun.
It was.
And I was done exactly 4:27.
Timing. Yes. Perfect timing.
So I worked really hard on that. So that's tricky. And then I got into the next demo, and I wish we'd had another half an hour, because I really wanted questions. I really wanted to get into it. So maybe we'll do it again.
Or maybe he's going to do something that'll last the whole hour, not on desktop time, but for himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they've added a lot of things. They didn't have budget versus actual when we first saw him 3 years ago.
We're talking DaVinci now.
DaVinci.
Oh, okay.
He's been around for a very long time.
Yeah. Probably at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to look at it, and we didn't get into pricing or how, because I really do want an easy way to do pretty financials, or more professional.
You'll have to go to his website and see what you can find.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my fun Wednesday. We planned this 6 months ago, and I thought, oh gosh, we're going to release TBX in November. It's plenty of time.
No problem.
Worked out, right? We released that puppy second week of January, my busiest month. And I got the journal entry 10 o'clock the night before.
Wow.
I work better under pressure, but oh my goodness. That was fun.
A little too much pressure.
Well, thanks for joining, and I could see you guys,
Fun. It's fun watching. So we're going to move on to Linda. Linda's going to talk about two-factor security and some.
Yeah, I've noticed that as I use my computer QuickBooks, that my antivirus is blocking a lot more sites in that. And as I go check my email, my cursor will move over towards where all the ads are in that. And I think it like automatically wants to go off to one of these ads.
Oh my goodness.
My antivirus will block it and say, it'll pop up a window and saying why it blocked it that. But I had a call this week from a client, and the client was running QuickBooks 2016, which is now 3 years old, because there's 16, 17, and 18 as far as that.
Right.
And we don't know, I didn't ask her what operating system, but she got a message saying that she needed capital TLS, like TLS 1.2. Well, I just looked that up on Google. It turns out we've all heard of SSL. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
SSL is Secure Sockets Layer, and it's a cryptographic protocol that enables secure communications over the internet. Okay, we always want secure communications. Well, TLS is the successor to SSL.
Right.
SSL was in the late 90s. TLS is now in the late teens, and it stands for Transport Layer Security. And it does the same thing as the SSL, but it blocks some weaknesses or flaws, and the difference is that the TLS is much better than the SSL. And so almost all, and I don't know whether it's inside of your QuickBooks or whether it's inside of your browser or where it is.
The browser.
But the other thing is a lot of my applications that are now saying they want to do two-factor security. Whenever we do, I work with the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and whenever we do I have a little toggle thing, and I have to go in and sign in, and I have to put a password in, which is 4 digits. But then I have to look at this, and I have to type in what this is, and this is obviously connected to their computer so that they know that it's me, and not only that, but my daughter actually has to approve. She goes in and sets up the payments, and when she does, she has her sign in, her 4-digit code, and she has one of these as well. And the two-factor security is really pretty simple to do. What most of them are doing now is they text you a 4 or 6-digit number. Mm-hmm. So when I want to sign into my Yahoo Mail now, because they had a terrible, somebody hacked into Yahoo. So now every time I go to sign in, it sends me a text, and I just get the number, and then actually I don't even have to do anything other than touch it on my phone. And then all of a sudden my computer will let me in, and that's two-factor.
Wow.
Plus there's authenticators too, like LastPass. There's an app that I have on my phone and my iPad.
Yes.
There's those. It's becoming more and more important that we have some way to prove who we are, which means you have to have a phone.
And that is what's driving Dennis crazy and the IRS. Not there.
I still have not received my postcard yet.
Me either.
I was at at one of our roundtables, our tax roundtable, and we were talking about that. And one guy, he's in the same boat I am. He's about ready to come unglued. I guess he actually went to an IRS office and tried to.
and still nothing they can do, right?
Found humans?
To you by snail mail. Who knows? But one of the things is, you can get all grumpy and upset. No, we're all these, But you know what? If it's going to keep us safe, if it's going to keep us from getting hacked.
Well, I guess you're going to stay safe if you can't do the work. That's where Dennis is at.
Well, okay, I'll tell you one thing. Like my husband, he's all about the two-factor, okay?
Yeah.
And, some of mine are with the thumbprint, so I think, it's good speed. There's ways to speed this up, but he wouldn't share his LastPass with me for the longest time because I didn't have two-factor on LastPass. Well, I'm in it all freaking day long. So now he excluded our IP address. So the only time I have to do two-factor is if I'm on one of my devices and I actually leave the building. So I'm happy now. Okay, I'll do two-factor.
Okay, good.
Okay, so then I found out that, and think about this. This is not good. In QBO, all right, it's say I'm the owner of the company. It's full of confidential, payroll, sales, vendor EINs, okay?
Social numbers.
I set up a user, and I tell them they have to use two-factor. That user can turn it off. They can turn it off. They can save the password on their phone or device or their computer. That you have no control over the security level of a user in your accounting.
Yep.
That is massive to me. When I found that out, I'm like, there is no way I would put it.
That's not good. Yeah, no.
No way. So why is that not a more serious? I know that you can't lock anybody out of payroll. I know, that the security in QBO is like very minimal, even worse than just desktop. I think the best security would probably be enterprise. But how on earth can I, with all conscience?
It's only as good as the human factor.
Right. And
the next question is,
idiots left and right. And
I remember that being a big issue when all the cloud accounting started happening, but there's been so many things that you can now do that you couldn't do before. Those questions went away, got swept.
Well, that's the two-factor. As the owner, I can go, oh, good. I can force them to do two-factor. I can force them not to, take a copy of the data. There's so many different things you can do as an administrator, but then for them in the back end to be able to turn that off, my husband was just he can't sleep.
You asked them to fix that.
Well, I don't have that many people in QBO, but that needs to be in the. I of course had a big meltdown on Facebook, but
I have
the
one
gear where you recommend,
The feedback, yeah.
Well, the feedback, enough people are saying, what do you mean I can't lock anybody out of payroll? I got somebody coming in here, my accounts payable gal wants to come in here and work, and she can see my payroll? I don't know. So
Can she give herself a raise?
When you think about embezzlers, people complain about the undoability of QuickBooks and being able to change vendor names and stuff like that. And, there's missing controls in this level of software, but you can mitigate it with other controls.
Segregation of duties.
All kinds of things, checking this, checking that. But one thing that, where I got stung was, I had authorizations for everything and testing, checks written and all that stuff, but the direct deposit for the payroll was never signed off by anybody. He signed off on the timesheets and the gross wage reports before she added her friend. And the other thing was, what was she doing? Oh, she had a pay code that added to her paycheck. And then she buried it in the balance sheet. There was all this health savings, self-administered health savings. And so she would say, she would post it like, I have a $1,200 dental bill. And then once it got to the balance sheet, it was she's journal thing, moving things around. And
Check the equity.
her.
Check the equity.
I know. So, the price point, you can't argue with this price point. So, but come on into it. You can do, if you're going to add two-factor authentication, make it stick.
Right.
It's like throwing us a bone and then
taking it back.
and then we go like, oh, good, they gave it to us. Until you find out that it doesn't work.
Not really what you thought it was.
Until you find it's hollow.
Yep. Well, we are really about out of time.
I've got I can show you something on the webinar for Joe Woodard.
We're going to save that until next week. We've got about a minute left, so
well, I
went too long.
I can show you the link to get the copy of the webinar if you'd like.
Okay, do that real quick.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen.
Well, yeah, then I'll have to write it down because I missed it.
Did you see it?
No, we see nothing.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, share screen.
Come on, Dennis, hurry up.
You got to pick the part of your screen you want to share. That's the tricky part.
I'm looking.
Here it comes.
Here it
There it is.
You see it?
Started screen. There it is.
Okay.
You can.
You can just go to the website and view the recording. How easy is?
There
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Like-
Download the handout.
and view the recording. Yeah,
Yep.
it'll scare the bejeebers out of you.
Really?
Oh, lovely. Well,
I thought it was great. I loved it.
Oh, BB&T was down. I hope it's back up. But when major bank, well, it's not a major bank. Okay, regional bank is down
that's scary.
for 20-something hours, and it's like people can't do direct deposit. They can't do business. They can't.
Do their
They
finances.
can't go buy stuff. They can't go to the teller machine. I mean, that makes you go, "Oh, we really are dependent on this."
You know when I was watching.
Power goes out.
Well, I gotta end now, guys.
Oh, we're gonna stop recording.
We're going to say goodbye for now. See you
All right.
next time, next week.
Bye.